There were extraordinary revelations from Paul Kelly today on the front page of The Australian. We all knew how desperately Malcolm Turnbull tried to hang on to the Prime Ministership last August, delaying a vote, suspending Parliament, demanding 43 signatures and raising questions about Peter Dutton's eligibility for Parliament. But The Australian's editor-at-large has revealed that Turnbull involved the Governor-General, telling Attorney-General Christian Porter that Sir Peter Cosgrove might not agree to swear in Peter Dutton as Prime Minister if he were to win the leadership. It was a high-stakes power play. Porter stood up for due process and, of course, perhaps partly because of all this, it was Scott Morrison who won the leadership rather than Peter Dutton. But it all just goes to the volatility and vindictiveness of the leadership crisis, which of course has been pulled apart over the past two nights by David Spear's Bad Blood, New Blood series. One aspect worth highlighting from last night's second part of that program was the way a couple of Turnbull supporters were so willing to forgive the ex-PM for quitting his seat, failing to campaign for his replacement in the by-election, and therefore helping to plunge the coalition into minority government.
I thought for him it was the right thing to do. Yes, of course it was a risk for the government, but don't forget that Malcolm had warned his colleagues in newspaper articles, in fact, months before, that if he ever lost the leadership, he would go. So everybody was on notice that, if you take out someone, don't expect them to do you the favour of trying to save your bacon.
Honestly, people have to take responsibility for their actions, and their actions were reprehensible. And then to turn around and lecture Malcolm Turnbull about his obligations, I found laugh out loud ridiculous.
Now, this is a whitewashing of history, a distortion of reality that needs to be pointed out. It is sugarcoating reality to say that Turnbull warned his colleagues he would leave Parliament if they rolled him. This was more akin to a threat. As the news poll losses mounted, the policy arguments drifted and the wolves circled, Turnbull was warning them not to depose him because the price might be the loss of the majority. And secondly, to suggest Turnbull was entitled to behave in this way because he'd been subjected to the treachery of a leadership coup shows an amazing amount of chutzpah. This was a bloke who only got the job because he ran a treacherous leadership coup himself against Tony Abbott. Look, I've been in the trenches with Turnbull when I worked for him back when he was rolled as opposition leader by Tony Abbott in 2009, so I've got a better understanding than most of what he's been through. Politics is absolutely brutal, but I still can't believe how any of his colleagues can possibly say he was hard done by, given how he came to the Prime Ministership himself.